Today, we're ranking every Rolex GMT-Master II currently in production. We're going to find out which models are valued the highest and lowest in the market right now in 2025. Once we can see the watches ranked on the board, we'll break down the trends and give you guys insight into what drives the market value for some of these models. The GMT-Master II can be configured in a lot of different ways. You can go from a steel model with a black and blue bezel on an Oyster bracelet, all the way to a full gold version with a tiger iron dial on a Jubilee bracelet. There are some off-catalogue pieces with gem-set bezels and dials that you'll sometimes see us buying or selling in our other videos. All of the prices in this video are based on the UK market for 2025 full set examples that are for sale from professional dealers. The prices were recorded in July 2025, so you should consider them a snapshot of the market, which is of course subject to change. For some of these watches, there are very few examples in the market. There can be a big difference between the lowest and highest priced. This is in contrast to some watches where there are hundreds of examples for sale, and the price spread tends to be lower because sellers need to be more competitive. First, let's take a look at the D tier. These watches sell for under their retail price. First thing to note is that these watches are all full precious metal versions of the GMT. The Rolex retail prices of precious metal pieces saw some of the biggest increases during the last price adjustment. The market demand for these watches has not kept pace, and as a result, you can pick them up for less than RRP. The watch with the lowest market price in this tier is the rose gold with the black and brown bezel known as the root beer. It retails for £39,700 and has a market price of £31,500. So the spread between retail and market price is £8,200 or nearly 21%. When we looked at current listings, there wasn't a 2025 example for sale in the UK, so we've used pricing for a 2024. The absence of 2025 examples of this watch shows the lack of appetite from buyers who are offered this watch at the AD, probably because they aren't prepared to lose close to £10,000 if they were to sell it to a dealer. The yellow gold with the black and grey bezel can be had from around £32,000, but the retail price on this is less than the rose gold to start with at £37,900. So the saving here is also less at £5,900, which is closer to 16%. The white gold Pepsi also lands in the D tier with a retail price that's the same as the rose gold at £37,900. Again, we didn't see any 2025 pieces for sale, but a 2023 example had a market price of £32,000. So a similar story to the root beer. Okay, moving on to the C tier. These watches sell for up to 25% over their retail price. Again, we're looking at full gold watches, but they now sit alongside two-tone pieces. The Root Beer and Guinness GMTs are two popular models at WatchTrader and right now only command a small premium in the market. Remember, these market prices are for 2025 examples, so you can find them for less if you look at older watches. This is especially true for the Root Beer, which launched back in 2018. The highest market price is for the new white gold Sprite with the ceramic green dial, coming in at £46,250. So while a premium of £5,350 is significant in nominal terms, it's only around a 13% uplift over the retail price of £40,900. This tells us the hype around this new model isn't that strong compared to other new releases, such as the Land Dweller. Maybe if it had been released in steel, it would have been a different proposition. Another sought-after white gold GMT is the Pepsi with the meteorite dial. When the ceramic bezel Pepsi debuted in 2014, it was exclusively available in white gold, with the steel models only appearing later in 2018. This meteorite version was introduced in 2019 and has a current retail price of £41,700. Usually, white gold is the least popular of the precious metals, and many can be found at a discount to RRP, but that's not the case with the meteorite Pepsi. The market values it just above retail price at £42,500, or about a 2% premium. Before we move into the B tier, if you're enjoying this video, I'd appreciate it if you give it a like and consider subscribing. These watches sell for between 25 and 50% above their RRP. This category is dominated by the steel GMT-Master II variants. These watches have a lower retail price than their precious metal counterparts, but command larger market premiums with a few exceptions. The lowest, yet still respectable premium of 34% is for the black and green bezel left-handed model known as the Sprite. The more popular Jubilee version costs $10,100 from Rolex, but commands $14,500 in the market. So while the Jubilee Sprite Premium is around 44%, which is similar to the Batman and Batgirl, the Oyster version falls behind. This marks a recent shift in the market. Previously, the Sprite commanded a higher price than the Batman and Batgirl GMTs, largely due to its more recent release in 2022. You'll notice the black and blue bezel models have a lower retail price that's £450 less than the black and green bezel versions. I guess lower production volumes of this left-handed model could push up the manufacturing cost, or maybe it's a strategic marketing move from Rolex. The latest release in the B tier came in 2024, and it's the black and grey bezel GMT known as the Bruce Wayne. The Oyster bracelet version costs £9,450 from Rolex and commands a market price of around $14,000. That's a spread of £4,550 or around 48% over RRP. Time will tell, but I would expect to see this watch valued similar to the Batman and the Sprite within the next 18 months. Stay tuned until the end when I'll reveal 5 key takeaways from this GMT-Master II market analysis. Here we can see just one watch, and that's the Bruce Wayne on the Jubilee. RRP on this one is £9,650, and with a market price of $15,500, that's a 61% premium. This really reflects the buyer preference for the Jubilee bracelet on this model, and I think it makes sense because there are limited options for sports models available with a Jubilee bracelet. For example, the Daytona, Explorer, and Submariner are only available on an Oyster bracelet, so I think many buyers like to add diversity into their collection and choose the Jubilee bracelet for their GMT. Finally, moving into the S tier, these watches sell for more than 75% over their retail price. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there guessed it, and it's none other than the iconic and highly sought after Rolex Pepsi. The Oyster bracelet version has an RRP of £9,450, but a market price of £17,000. The Jubilee is the most popular bracelet style for the Pepsi, and this is reflected in the market value of around £18,000. It's worth noting that the Jubilee model is £9,650 at retail, so it's slightly more than the Oyster to begin with. This top S-tier model has an impressive 87% market premium, which makes the Jubilee Pepsi one of the most requested watches at Rolex. So both steel Pepsi GMTs sit at the top of the rankings and continue to be very difficult to acquire from an AD. There are 2 more GMTs that were revealed earlier this year that aren't yet on the board. We have got the full yellow gold with the black and grey bezel and Jubilee bracelet alongside a full rose gold with the black and brown bezel on the Oyster bracelet, both sporting the brand new Tiger Iron dial. This dial is composed of 3 minerals, Tiger's Eye, red jasper, and a silvery hematite. And being a natural rock dial, each one will exhibit different patterns, which makes every dial unique. So these models don't seem to be in circulation yet, so we can't rank them until the market puts a value on these watches. However, we can expect both of these watches to be very rare, and it's likely that the first few to be listed for sale will fetch a premium over their retail prices. The yellow gold is £41,500 and the rose is £43,400. Let me know in the comments where you think these watches will rank on the board and if you prefer them to their original black dial counterparts. Here are 5 key takeaways from this GMT-Master II market analysis. Buyers value steel models higher than full gold watches. If you're buying pre-owned, full gold offers relatively good value compared to retail price. However, bear in mind that you may need to broaden your search to watches that are a couple of years old, as 2025 pieces are few and far between in the market right now. If you find yourself drawn to steel and gold pieces, which are the root beer and the Guinness, you can find 2025 examples for around RRP. which means you can skip the waitlist at the AD. And if you look for watches a few years older, you'll pick them up for less. If you're set on a steel GMT-Master II with a 2025 date, currently the best value on the market is the Sprite on the Oyster bracelet. It has the lowest premium at 34%, making it $13,250. Just keep in mind that the Batman isn't too much more because even though it has a larger percentage premium, it has a lower retail price to begin with, so the resulting market value is pretty close to the Sprite. Overall, you'll pay less if you prefer the Oyster bracelet over the Jubilee on all steel GMT variations. Remember that this tier list reflects the market value of these watches, which comes from supply and demand. You probably won't agree with every single ranking, and that's totally fine. An A-tier watch isn't necessarily better than a C-tier one when you're buying for your own enjoyment. Your personal preference is what really matters. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, check out the links on the screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.